Welcome back to episode 3 of our conversation, our discussion about tikkun, soul corrections, patterns, being in loops, learning why things are happening to us, breaking free, taking control, lots. If you didn't get a chance to listen to episode 2, would strongly recommend going back and listening to it, where we just spoke about everything I just mentioned in a tidbit. And of course, we're welcoming back our awesome panelists, Rachel, Arrington, Momo, who really opened up in the last 2 sessions to share about their tikkun, about what they came to this world to correct, how these patterns made them better. And now what we're going to do is we're going to extract wisdom from them to learn how, when we are at home, like all of our viewers, what tools can we use to start breaking our pattern for ourselves, or even before breaking the pattern, just even to start recognizing the pattern. So Rachel, what would you say is your go-to when it comes to tikkun, breaking a pattern, realizing why something's happening?
So my tool that I use, we've actually mentioned it before, but it's so powerful. It's called Pause What a Pleasure. And it's just anytime I I can feel myself being frustrated that I'm trying to do something and this person's doing it wrong or doing it slow or whatever, I always try to just sit, don't talk. I sit with myself and I just say, okay, pause for a second. Let's just breathe. This is a good thing. This is helping me. How is this helping? And kind of trying to figure out in that sense. But really just the biggest thing is to pause, because I can be very reactive. So when I pause, I find myself that I won't snap at them and I won't be rude or anything like that.
Amazing. And you feel that the mood and the tension within is stronger before the pause, and after the pause, you're more calm, you're less tense, you're able to handle.
Yeah, so much. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, definitely. If I don't pause, then I'm immediately reactive. I'm snapping at them, being rude, saying something rude. But then when I pause, then it kind of gives me that moment to just okay, now I can feel myself speaking a bit more calmly, slowly, trying to figure them out, see where they're at, trying to put myself in their shoes, be more
100%.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying, because we spoke about pause a lot, but I think it's important to open it up because it is such a powerful spiritual tool. I think what you're saying is even before the pause, is the situation about them or is it about you?
Before the pause, I make it about them, right? I'm blaming them. Oh, why is this person talking to me while they're in the movie? Why do they need help again? Anything like that. But those are just my internal thoughts. But then when I pause, then I'm not that it becomes about me, but it becomes about my tikkun. Okay, clearly this is something that I need to be more patient. That this is just an opportunity, and I stop shifting blame on them and just start understanding a bit more about myself, like Arrington, right? I'm not so patient, and okay, this isn't helping me be more patient.
Right. So the pause is a big thing for you to move from reactive to more calm, and also from making it about them to making it about you. That's 100%. Big. That's big. Momo, what's your go-to?
So real quick, just an addition to Rachel's is that when you are reactive, when you don't pause, the situation is going to flare up even more.
Mm-hmm.
So that because you messed up, right? It's not like you were just normal and it was teaching you a lesson. Now you messed up, so it has to overcompensate to really teach you the lesson by making things a little worse than they were.
How many
reaction.
Yes, how many fights I've gotten with these people that I had to talk through and everything just because I was so reactive in the moment. I didn't pause.
Yeah, so it makes it even worse for you. But so mine, as you were asking, is kind of a two-parter. So one is to understand it's something that takes a lot of work, but anytime I feel uncomfortable, that could be sad, that could be angry, that could be betrayed, that could be depressed, any form of not my regular balanced self, I say, okay, there's some opportunity is here, right? If you look at any of the greatest businessmen in the world or anything, anytime there's a depression or their market's down or something or other, they see opportunity. They're okay, there's a time to buy, not a time to hold on to what little I have. They see this as a way to grow. So it's the same thing in any situation where I'm uncomfortable. I go, okay, something here, my vessel, like my internal self, is going to be pushed to grow, right? So then once I have that mindset turned on of I see this as an opportunity, I then ask myself a very important question of, why is this in my movie? Why is this happening to me? But now it's not from like a victim of like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? What have I done? It's, why is this happening to me? What opportunity is there for me here in this situation? So it's first, you got to shift the mindset to uncomfortable anything equals growth, equals opportunity. And then ask yourself, why is this in my movie? And from there, you kind of learn every single time. I mean, it's, you know, it's hard to get in the beginning, but once you really, really turn it on, by the way, if you're looking back at a situation, let's say you just went through something like 2 days ago, and then like 2 days later, you're like, oh my God, I forgot to think that it's, you know, an opportunity. It still counts, because even now you can learn from it. It's never too late to continuously build that muscle and that mindset. But yes, it really helps to grow. So for example, one of the ways I've used it, a really minor example, is I have very messy roommates. And so sometimes I'll just come into the kitchen and there's dishes everywhere and like, you know, the counter's soaked and nonsense like this. And that's also a repetitive pattern, is messy roommates and messy people I've lived with. And so I turn this into a, you know, how can I grow mindset? And it's kind of funny. It sounds kind of, you know, weird, but I tell myself, you know, this is actually a really good practice for parenting, because my kids are going to be like little kids making messes constantly. And I can't tell them to come clean it up. Right. So
I
I'm going to
mean,
learn here to
arguable. You
arguable,
could tell them.
whatever. My kids are like 2 years old painting the walls. You know, what am I going to do? Just freak out at a 2-year-old? He's a 2-year-old. It's his nature, you know? So I kind of like turn it into these little proactive kind of growth mindsets. And it makes the whole experience so much better, so much easier to handle. Even when I go back to them to tell them like, hey man, you know, you left some dishes. It's not like, bro, this is like the 19th time this week, and I'm tired of, like, you don't approach it like that. You go from like an understanding place and a place of like, let's talk this out, and the whole situation shifts. So again, switching that mindset to uncomfortable, anything equals growth or opportunity. And then, why is this in my movie?
Powerful. Powerful. How about you, Ayrton? What's a nugget of wisdom you can give us?
So that's hard, Momo. That's hard to deal with for sure. But for me, it's always asking myself how I can either be my best self or how can I improve myself in any situation. Because when I tap myself to that type of consciousness, that allows me to tap into what my best version of myself is, which is ultimately what the light wants me to be. And that's how I stay protected, right? So even if I'm messing up or reflecting on my actions, as long as I can believe or say, you know, without a doubt, at that moment in time, I was my best self. I know anything after that, light will protect me in whatever I'm doing, because I have that consciousness in mind of how am I being my best self, how am I improving, you know, what can I be doing better, and that's what's going to protect me going forward. Like Momo said, we can fall, we can make mistakes, but again, as long as you have certainty in the light of the creator and how that helps you along the process, you know, everything will just take care of itself afterwards, as long as you're doing the work.
And I think that's powerful, because if you look at, you know, if you look at your situation, even though, let's say you went to a place or to a party that you felt FOMO and you didn't feel 100% desiring to go, you made the mistake, let's say you fell, right? But after, even though your lesson after like the 5 or 10 different parties that you went to or the events that you went to that you didn't like, your lesson came after. It didn't come like during. It didn't protect you. You learned from the situation. Wait 1 second, how come I keep doing this? And that's a big thing, Aaron. It's a big thing for tikkun, because when you face it, it's not easy. When you're pausing, when you're why is it in my moving? It's not, all that is not easy. And a lot of times that happens after we've already fallen, but it's a process.
Correct. And if you feel drained after doing something, or you feel less energy, that's an indication that you're not connected with the light. Because if you were, you would actually feel opposite. You'd feel energized, right? You'd feel more compelled to be around more people, more compelled to share your experiences, more compelled to, you know, share how you feel. So it's just something to keep note of if you're looking for indicators of, am I going on the right path, or am I straying off the path, or is this my true self? If you feel energized with it, keep doing what you're doing. If you're feeling drained, you may want to start to reflect on what you've been doing in the past and how that's affecting your energy levels going forward.
And I think we had a conversation, we had an episode about this, or a discussion about this, the energy manager. So when you feel excited or motivated or fueled by it, it's not like a temporary fuel. Go back to that session if you want to know what I'm talking about. It's not like, wow, this was such a good party, and then tomorrow you feel drained. We're talking about, do I feel drained the next day? Everybody's going to feel good in the moment. The question is, do I feel drained the next day, or do I feel fueled the next day? If I do feel drained the next day, then I should probably check to myself, 1 second, is this an opportunity for me to grow? And I think ultimately that's the main takeaway from all this discussion of tikkun. We normally, with these situations, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, the nature of it is to push them away. We don't like the being drained. We don't like feeling betrayed. We don't like being around slower people. I don't like being around authority figures. We don't like it. So usually we reject the process. We're like, I don't want, the faster I can get them out of my life, the better. The truth is, and we've all seen this, as soon as you get one slow person out of your life, another slow person will replace that person. As soon as you take an authority figure out of your life, another authority figure will come. If Arrington didn't learn about how to choose where he's going through parties, he'd learn about it through, schools that he went to or groups that he was in. Eventually the lesson will come. The beauty of this discussion is that it gets us to say, instead of rejecting it, you can't reject it really. You can't reject the marketing until you buy it. I'm just joking. You can't really reject it. It's going to keep coming until you learn that lesson. It's now about embracing and asking myself, using some of these tools. Pause. Why is it in my movie? Am I drained? Am I not? How is this going to be my best self? That's the conversation switcher. Taking the power out of the world's hands, and my parents' hands, and my friends' hands, and my teachers' hands, and my slow people's hands, and all of that. We put the power back in our hands. Let's embrace it. Let's learn from it. Let's grow from it. And let's rewrite a couple of patterns. So that's what I want to leave you all of our viewers with today at home, a quick workshop. Imagine your life is a movie. We love to see movies. There's so many lessons in movies. Sometimes we just need to relax, right? Your life is a movie. The light, the creator, is the producer. He's putting all these pieces together, bringing all the different pieces together. You are the main character of your movie. You're the main character. There is no other main character. Everybody else, mom, dad, brother, sister, friends, people that betray me, people that are slow, authority figures, coaches, people that make fun of you in school, bullies, all of them are actors. All of them are actors. What are we thinking to ourselves? What is the plot of my movie? The plot is the tikkun. What pattern keeps coming? What actors keep triggering these things within me? And then ask myself, how is this situation set up for me to excel? How is this situation set up for me to grow? That's one of the reasons why I love Marvel movies so much, right? There's always the hero, but the hero always has an issue. Spider-Man doesn't really want to be Spider-Man. He wants to be like a normal kid. And Iron Man wants to be the biggest egomaniac in the world. And each one of them has to, Iron Man, when he goes up to space and sacrifices himself in his suit to save the entire world, he basically gave himself up. He faced that's the plot of the movie. Is it about your ego, or is it about the world? So the same for our life. We're the main character. We're the superhero. All the people around us, there might be villains, there might be people that support us, but they're all there to help us to grow. And these are the questions. What's my plot? What's my tikkun? What am I here to learn? What am I here to reveal? So if I could start doing that at home. Start to ask yourself those questions. What is the plot? Who are the characters in my life? What are the repetitive patterns? How can I start to bring my best self out? That's a couple of powerful questions just to leave you with.
What's funny is, I don't know if you did this intentionally, but the problems that each of the heroes that you mentioned in the Marvel movie, their ending to the story, the lesson they had to learn, and the thing they had to do was directly inverse to their issue. So Iron Man, this huge egomaniac, rich playboy, whatever, had to sacrifice himself for others. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, just wants to be a regular kid, but he can't just be a regular kid. People need him, so he needs to step up to be, the hero or whatever. It's just funny the way I don't know if you do that on purpose, but yeah. So it's the same thing with art.
Usually with those characters, and that's also what happens to us, right? People that have the most amazing message, the most amazing songs feel like, what will the world think what if they don't like my song, right? It's always the most concealed package that has the biggest gifts, and all of us have that. And that's what we're here to learn. So Momo, Rachel, Arrington, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being with us, episode 1, 2, and 3, with this really powerful discussion. As always, thank you to everybody that's watching. Hopefully getting lots of nuggets, spiritual nuggets to take home with you and use in your life to create change and transformation. Wishing you guys all the best. See you soon. Thank you for joining us. See you in a future episode.